the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley. I mean, Nikki Haley didn't invoke being...
I disagree with Nikki Haley. I would challenge both of Nikki. Governor Haley knows this.
Well, she expected it. It was a pile-on in the third Republican presidential debate last night in Miami. The candidates did try to tear into Nikki Haley as they battle for second place in the race for the GOP nomination. But she also tried to give as good as she got. Republican presidential hopeful Nikki Haley joins us now. Great to have you. Want to play a moment that is getting a lot of attention, though the last three words of what you said are getting a lot of attention, but not the full context. We'll play it for you here. This is what happened last night.
In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Your adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy answer.
What was going through your mind at that moment?
You know, it's just, this is a serious time in our country, and this is not the time that you need to have, you know, these personal hits. My daughter's 25 years old. You know, we've got big issues happening in the world. We've got threats facing us around, you know, at the United States and our friends, and we have to take that seriously. And look, even though it was a personal shot and it was a shot that wasn't necessary, I think the bigger point is there are big differences between me and Ramaswamy. You know, he doesn't think we should be helping Israel. He thinks that we should let Putin have Ukraine. He's fine with using Taiwan until we have all the chips we need, and then he'll give it out. You know, you look at Ron DeSantis. He says that Ukraine is a territorial dispute. We've got real issues on that debate stage that differentiate us, and that's what I wanted to talk about. You know, he threw a petty shot there. I mean, it says more about him than it does about me.
And not to continue on the personal here, but the microphone caught the words. We heard you say, "You are scum." Do you want to continue with that today? Do you feel the same way? I
mean, Bill, that was showing a lot of restraint. That's all I'll say. That was showing a lot of restraint.
Okay. Down the road, last night, at around the same time, Donald Trump said this about you.
You know, Brad, I will never run against him. He is a great president. I will never, ever run against him, said Bird Brain. I will not run against him. He was one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country. And then about 3 months later, she goes, I've decided to run. This is the craziest business politics.
He invoked your name, as we say in debate rules, and wanted to give you a chance to respond to that. How is your relationship today with the former president?
You know, I have said often, I think he was the right president at the right time. I agree with a lot of his policies. Yes, I said I wouldn't run against him, but that was before we had the fall in Afghanistan. It was before we saw inflation go through the roof. And it was before we lost the midterms. And so, look, this is what I'll tell you. 3/4 of the country, 75% of the country has said they don't want to see a rematch between Biden and Trump. The country deserves better than a president in their 80s. And Trump and Biden would give us that. It is time for a new generational leader. If you look at the polls, I crushed Joe Biden in every single poll. That's what Republicans need to focus on is, yes, we're going to talk about a primary, but at the end of the day, we need to have someone at the top of the ticket that wins governor's races, that wins congressional races, that allows us to really get our country back on track. And that's what I'm trying to do. And look, I mean, Trump can say whatever he wants, but at the end of the day, he knows that his age is the same as Biden's, but he also knows he got us into a lot of trouble. I mean, look at the $8 trillion that happened on his watch. Look at the fact that he's retreating and getting weak in the knees on foreign policy when it comes to helping our friends. Look at the fact that when our closest ally, Israel, got hit, what did he do? He went and talked about Hezbollah being smart, and he said, you know, had personal vendettas with Prime Minister Netanyahu. These are big issues, and we cannot win the issues and the fights of the 21st century if we continue to use politicians of the 20th century. The time is now to change. The time is now for people to realize we have a country to save. Our kids are counting on us. It is time to leave this baggage and negativity behind us and move forward so that we can be strong and proud again. We can do this, but it's going to take everybody saying, okay, say, let's move forward and quit looking at the headlines of the past.
Okay, so you mentioned the polls, that the New York Times poll that showed Biden losing to President Trump in 5 out of 6 states. I just want to pull that up. But also, you mentioned that you, in that same poll, beat Biden in those states too. So we'll put those back up there. But let's do call for number 4. This is in the Des Moines Register poll in Iowa. Trump at 43, DeSantis 16, and you at 16. And so we're getting much more closer. I think we're 2 months away from the first votes being cast in Iowa. What is your strategy to see if you could change this dynamic? Because President Trump's lead is commanding, and it seems to be enduring, and in some cases even increasing.
You know, everybody is continuing to talk about his lead. Well, I'll tell you that when I got into this race, everybody was talking about all the other leads. It is slow and steady wins the race. We are now surging. We're second in Iowa. We're second in New Hampshire. We're second in South Carolina. And we got one more fella to go after. And I'm telling you, we're going to do it. If you look at the record, I mean, alone, how are we going to go deal with debt when we have a president who was allowing Congress to spend like drunken sailors? How are we going to keep our world safe when you've got a president who's going and congratulating the Chinese Communist Party, or saying Hezbollah is smart, or trying to appease and say he's friends with North Korea? You can't do that. How are we going to do that when you've got someone who's not taking seriously the fact that we've got real issues going forward? He was good on China with trade, but what did he do about fentanyl? Nothing. What did he do about allowing them to buy our U.S. soil? Nothing. What did he do about them stealing intellectual property? Nothing. And not only that, he fought against our National Security Council in wanting to give China more technology that only threatened America. These are serious issues, and I'm telling you, we're going to take it to him. Wow. Because I want my family to be safe. I want everybody's family to be safe, and we can't do it if we keep going back to the same old thing.
Sounds like a pretty good debate. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. We asked you about the personal in the beginning. Let's ask you about policy quickly here. Iranian proxies have hit our forces more than 40 times in almost 3 weeks. What would you do to Iran as president in return?
First of all, my husband is deployed right now. He's in a base that's not far from that area. It is infuriating that our military men and women are having to deal with this. It's so wrong on every level. 100 strikes since Biden took office. And let me tell you, this is in response to the fall in Afghanistan. This is in response to him falling all over himself to get back into the Iran deal. The way to deal with that is you completely go and slam the infrastructure where those strikes are taking place. Eliminate their ability to do any strikes to our men and women, and you let them know there's going to be hell to pay if they hurt an American soldier. We already have so many injuries. A president is supposed to keep his men and women safe. How is Joe Biden keeping them safe when you've got our military members being hit, you've got our border that's being open? He's totally been absent. We can't allow this to continue. We've got too many American lives at stake, and they're more dangerous under Joe Biden.
Nikki Haley, thank you for getting up this morning after your debate and joining us. As you say, there's a lot of problems to solve.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.